Beneath the sparkling Caribbean Sea, hidden lifelines connect our world. Powerful cables on the ocean floor carry nearly all our digital lives, emails, calls, and videos, at the speed of light. These cables link islands, continents, and people, making the Caribbean a critical global junction. But this system is fragile, and its control is a high-stakes power struggle. These unseen threads tie our world together, and the fight to control them shapes our future. Submarine cables are more than just wires. At their core are glass fibers, thinner than a human hair, carrying your data as pulses of light across oceans. Protected by layers of steel and plastic, these cables withstand water pressure, shark bites, and ship anchors. They connect continents, shaping a digital crossroads, especially in the Caribbean. But they're also instruments of power, with world powers competing for control and influence beneath the sea. Submarine cables may look simple, but inside, they're packed with advanced technology. Thin glass fibers, armored layers, and waterproof jackets, all designed to protect our digital lifeline beneath the ocean. Cables are built differently for deep ocean or busy coasts, with extra armor where threats are greatest. These cables carry our conversations, economies, and secrets, quietly connecting the world every second of every day. How does an email from Miami to Jamaica travel? It starts as electrical signals, transformed into light pulses at a coastal cable landing station. These pulses race through glass fibers beneath the sea, bouncing inside at nearly the speed of light. Repeaters boost the signal along the way, ensuring it reaches the distant shore. At the destination, the light is turned back into electrical signals and delivered to the recipient. Submarine cables are the invisible backbone of our connected world, carrying over 99% of global data. Laying a submarine cable is one of the great engineering challenges of our time. It starts with mapping the ocean floor, finding a safe path that avoids hazards and busy shipping lanes. Once planned, a special ship loaded with massive cable sets out, slowly unspooling it onto the seabed. In shallow waters, an underwater plow buries the cable for protection. Crews and computers monitor every step, ensuring the cable lands perfectly. These cables are the hidden foundations of our digital world. The story of cables in the Caribbean began long before the internet, in the age of steamships and empires. Telegraph cables, thick copper wires wrapped in gutta percha, first connected these islands to the world. The routes chosen then often foreshadowed today's fiber optic highways. Fiber optics revolutionized everything, carrying more data than all old cables combined. Now, systems like AMX1 and Deep Blue Cable form the digital backbone of the region. The Caribbean remains a vital crossroads, its cables connecting continents and powering the digital age. The Caribbean Sea is a bustling superhighway, a natural choke point for data flowing between North and South America. Huge amounts of traffic from Latin America travel north through the Caribbean to reach data centers in Florida. Islands like Jamaica, Puerto Rico, and Trinidad and Tobago have become key nodes in this international network. The Caribbean is the digital equivalent of the Panama Canal, a vital link connecting continents. That's why new cables are constantly being added, making this crossroads ever more resilient. The Caribbean's digital growth brings huge benefits, but also new dependencies. Most undersea cables here are owned by foreign tech giants, not island nations. This creates a digital power imbalance. Some call it digital colonialism. The US dominates, but China is moving in, offering to build new cables. Now small Caribbean nations are caught in a global tech rivalry, right in the middle. Beneath the Caribbean's silent waters, a new great game unfolds. Not for land, but for control of information. Submarine cables are now the prize, giving nations power to monitor, disrupt, or control global data flows. The United States dominates this arena, with most Caribbean cables landing in Florida, granting immense leverage and surveillance power. But rivals like Russia and China are challenging this dominance, turning the ocean floor into the new frontier of global competition. The most significant challenge to American dominance in the Caribbean's digital sphere comes from China. This rivalry between the Dragon, China, and the Eagle, the United States, is playing out all over the globe, and the seabed of the Caribbean has become a key battleground. China understands that, to be a true global power, it needs to have influence over the world's data infrastructure. It's pursuing a long-term strategy, often called the Digital Silk Road, to build and finance internet infrastructure, including submarine cables, in developing regions. This strategy is a powerful mix of economic investment and geopolitical ambition, and the Caribbean is a prime target. For several years now, Chinese companies, most notably Huawei Marine, have been aggressively marketing their services to Caribbean and Latin American nations. They offer attractive deals, often financed by Chinese state-owned banks, to build new submarine cable systems. For a small island nation struggling with slow, expensive internet, the offer to have a state-of-the-art fiber optic cable built at a low cost is honestly incredibly tempting. There was even a proposed project aimed at connecting many Caribbean islands and then linking them across the Pacific to China. This would have created a direct data highway between the region and Asia, completely bypassing the United States. Washington has viewed these moves with extreme alarm. U.S. officials see the involvement of companies like Huawei not as a commercial enterprise, but as a direct threat to national security. They argue that any infrastructure built by Chinese state-linked companies could contain hidden backdoors that would allow Beijing to spy on data traffic. They fear that China could use its control over these cables to steal government secrets, corporate intellectual property, and personal data. Furthermore, they worry that, in a conflict, China could simply switch off the internet for any country connected to its cables, holding them digitally hostage. The United States has therefore engaged in a full-court press of diplomatic pressure to persuade Caribbean nations to reject Chinese offers. American diplomats have warned leaders in the region about the risks of partnering with Huawei, offering alternative financing and technical support from U.S. companies and their allies. This has placed the small nations of the Caribbean in an incredibly difficult position. They're caught in the middle of a superpower tug-of-war. Accepting China's offer could bring real economic benefits, but risk angering their powerful northern neighbor. Siding with the United States means maintaining their security relationship, but potentially missing out on a major infrastructure upgrade. In geopolitics, a choke point is a narrow passage where movement can be controlled or blocked. Think the Strait of Hormuz for oil. In the digital world, the Caribbean is full of such choke points for data. The Florida Straits and Mona Passage funnel nearly all regional internet traffic, making them critical vulnerabilities. Disrupting one could cripple communications across the Western Hemisphere. Global powers know this. Submarines or drones could covertly cut cables, causing chaos. Markets crash. Countries go dark, while denying responsibility. The U.S. and allies monitor these routes with underwater sensors and patrols, playing a silent cat-and-mouse game with rivals. To counter the risk, new cable routes are being built for redundancy. So if one path is cut, data can reroute instantly. Companies and governments are investing in cables that bypass congested areas, like direct South America-Europe links. The race to diversify routes is a direct response to the threat of choke points. It's a stark admission. Our digital web is fragile, and the fight to control its critical junctions is only beginning. The Caribbean's geography makes it a front line in this invisible battle. In 2008, off Alexandria, Egypt, multiple submarine cables were mysteriously severed, crippling internet from Egypt to India. Financial trading halted, businesses froze, and millions lost connectivity, exposing the fragility of global networks. Initial blame fell on a ship's anchor, but the near-simultaneous cuts fueled suspicions of sabotage. Investigations struggled to find clear answers. The official story never fully convinced security experts. The incident was a wake-up call. Relying on just one or two cables is a dangerous gamble. For the Caribbean, it underscored the need for redundancy, multiple, diverse cable routes to ensure resilience. If one cable is cut, traffic must be able to reroute instantly. The Alexandria event spurred new investment in the Caribbean, not just for speed, but for survival. It proved that digital security is as vital as defending borders. The lesson: protect the invisible lifelines on the ocean floor, or risk being plunged into digital darkness. Not all threats to submarine cables are geopolitical. Sometimes it's nature. Sharks occasionally bite cables, likely attracted by electromagnetic fields, but modern cables are armored and rarely damaged by marine life. In reality, most cable breaks are caused by human activity, fishing trawlers and ship anchors. Yet the ambiguity of cable damage creates a dangerous gray zone. If a cable goes dark, was it a shark, an anchor, or sabotage by an enemy using underwater drones? Proving intent is nearly impossible. Plausible deniability lets aggressors hide behind accidents. Security agencies must analyze every break for signs of foul play, but evidence is often inconclusive. This uncertainty breeds mistrust and turns every outage into a potential international incident. The deep ocean hides both natural accidents and covert attacks. Even a shark bite can become a convenient cover story for sabotage. In the Caribbean, every cable failure is a potential flashpoint in the shadow war beneath the waves. Caribbean nations can't deploy fleets of submarines, so they rely on law, cooperation, and public awareness to protect their cables. International law creates cable protection zones, no anchoring or trawling allowed, enforced by coast guards. Public campaigns educate mariners to avoid cable routes, turning local fishermen into frontline guardians. International cooperation is vital. Groups like the International Cable Protection Committee share data and best practices across 60-plus countries. For small nations, this network provides expertise and support they couldn't develop alone. The ultimate defense is redundancy, building multiple diverse cable routes so no single cut can isolate a nation. Governments invest in new cables, ensuring traffic can reroute if one link fails. This spiderweb approach is costly, but essential for digital security. Protecting these lifelines is a shared responsibility, local and global. The Caribbean's digital safety net is woven one cable at a time. The Caribbean's cable story is just beginning. As the world digitizes, dependence on these hidden threads will only grow. 5G, IoT, AI, and cloud computing will demand even more from underwater infrastructure. Enhanced connectivity can transform economies, education, and healthcare, making the region a digital hub. New cables promise faster, cheaper internet, even for remote islands. But greater dependence raises the stakes. Control, monitoring, and sabotage become more tempting for global powers. The US-China rivalry will play out in every new cable project, forcing small nations to choose sides. Today's decisions about who builds and owns these cables will shape sovereignty and security for decades. Cables may soon double as environmental sensors, detecting earthquakes and monitoring ocean health. Their strategic value will only increase, making them both lifeline and battleground. The future of the Caribbean and the world will be shaped by these invisible threads. Beneath the Caribbean's turquoise waters lies a world of hidden danger and power. Submarine cables are the arteries of the global economy and the battleground for digital dominance. Superpowers compete to control, monitor, and, if needed, disrupt these vital links. For small island nations, a single cable cut can cripple economies and threaten sovereignty. Their reliance on foreign-owned infrastructure puts them in a precarious position, caught between global ambitions. Navigating this landscape requires balancing investment, connectivity, and security. The seamless internet we take for granted rests on a fragile, contested foundation. Our trust in constant connectivity depends on a handful of cables and the struggle to protect them. The peace and prosperity of our digital age hang by these invisible threads. The fight for control beneath the waves will define the future of the Caribbean and the world. Beneath the sunlit Caribbean Sea lies a hidden web, fragile threads of glass that connect our world. These undersea cables are the backbone of our digital lives, yet vulnerable to sabotage, rivalry, and the forces of nature. Protecting them demands trust and cooperation between nations. Every message we send relies on this fragile trust, hoping the light keeps flowing through the deep.